There are moments when no one has to yell at you for you to feel attacked. Just one light remark, a doubtful glance, or a sigh is enough to tighten your chest. I was there in a meeting when someone tried to confront me in front of everyone. My heart raced, my mind filled with comebacks, and I knew I would lose my composure when I opened my mouth. Instead of reacting, I asked one question: "What makes you think that?" The room went silent. No one needed to raise their voice anymore. That moment taught me something no book ever made clear. Sometimes a question is stronger than an argument. It does not defeat others, it makes them look within. I realized that a question is not a weapon to win, but a way to keep yourself from being dragged into anger's spiral. Socrates did that. He did not argue to prove, but to illuminate. He did not try to be right, he tried to see clearly. And because of that, he never lost a debate, not because he was always right, but because he refused to play the game of ego. When asked calmly, a question can pierce through a person's defenses. It does not make them feel attacked, but makes them face their thoughts. While the modern world glorifies the loud, the Stoic chooses to speak less and observe more. They understand that noise never brings clarity. Silence, when deep enough, can shake even what people once believed to be certain. We live in a time when everyone wants to speak, but few truly want to understand. Everyone wants to be heard, but no one wants to pause to listen. A question is the bridge between those two things, between noise and understanding, between reaction and self-control. The right question asked at the right moment can turn an argument into an awakening. If you ever find yourself in a situation that makes you want to explode, try to pause, take a breath, and ask a question instead of reacting. You will be surprised to find that it is not the other person who changes, but you. Share one question that has helped you stay calm, because sometimes your experience can be the medicine for someone else's anger. To understand why a question can calm anger, we need to go deeper to where every argument begins, not in words, but in the mind, where the ego always longs to be acknowledged. Why people argue: the spiral of the ego. Arguing was how we clarified things. But the older I grew, the more I realized that most arguments do not begin because of right or wrong, but because a wound has been touched. Some argue to be understood, others to feel that they still matter. And sometimes both try to prove to themselves that I am still important. After every argument, I would lie still, replaying every word I said, every expression on the other person's face. I thought about what I should not have said, then imagined the reactions I should have had. My mind would not stop even when the world outside had gone quiet. That feeling was not victory, it was exhaustion. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always have the power to have no opinion, but that is harder than we think." Our ego always wants to speak, regain control, and be acknowledged as right. The Stoic does not try to silence anger, they do not let it steer. They understand that every reaction is a cut into their own peace. When someone insults you, they only throw a stone, but when you strike back, you build them a mountain, and then you are the one who must carry it. Calmness is not weakness, it is a strength that demands more discipline than shouting ever could. I learned that lesson in an argument where I knew I was right. I had logic, facts, and even the support of others. But the more I spoke, the more I lost, not the argument, but my composure. When it ended, I felt no satisfaction, only fatigue. From then on, I started to observe. Not everyone argues to win against others. Many are simply trying not to lose against their own emotions. When you realize that, you start to see conflicts differently. You no longer see someone attacking you. You know a person is trying to protect what they believe is themselves. And when you understand that, your anger begins to dissolve, replaced by clarity. If an argument still lingers, pause and ask yourself, did I genuinely want to solve the problem or prove that I was right? Write down 3 words that describe what you truly felt after that argument. Sometimes we only see what we traded to protect our ego when facing that emotion directly. And once you are honest enough to see why you argue, the next step is to learn how to ask questions, not to react, but to clarify. Because often we are not really in disagreement, we are just speaking 2 different languages. Question 1. What are we really disagreeing about? One of the conversations I will never forget was with a close friend. We once argued fiercely about something that seemed huge at the time. We both raised our voices and believed we were defending what was right. But then I paused and asked what we really disagreed about. The space between us suddenly went quiet. He looked at me for a few seconds, then sighed. Maybe I just felt like you didn't care. That sentence stopped me. It turned out that he needed not logic, but the feeling of being heard. This question seems simple, but it is like a mirror. When we ask, we really disagree about what we disagree about. We force both sides to step out of emotion and return to reality. Often we think we are arguing about actions, but in truth, we are arguing about feelings. You never listen to me. It does not mean silence. I feel unseen. You don't care, which does not mean you did nothing. It means I could not feel your presence. When the problem is defined clearly, anger loses its grip. Epictetus once said, "First learn the meaning of what you say, then speak." It sounds philosophical, but it is a practical tool in daily life. When you help others define precisely what they mean, you drain energy from vague emotion. Truth rarely needs shouting, it only needs to be seen. Sometimes a single right question can determine what hours of argument cannot. It makes the other person think instead of reacting. I have applied this in many situations at work, with family, and even in strained relationships. And the air softens almost every time we are talking about it. People no longer need to defend because they are invited into a conversation, not a battle. If you have ever been in a conflict that made things worse instead of clearer, try to remember. Did you truly understand what the other person was saying, or were you reacting to what you thought they said? Share a moment when you realized late, when the anger faded and you saw that you were never on opposite sides. When you learn to clarify, you step out of chaos. Once you see the root of conflict, you begin to notice something subtler, that most arguments are not wrong because of the words used, but because of the assumptions beneath them, beliefs that were never examined. Question 2. What are you assuming? Once I was angry at a friend because he did not reply to my message. In my head, stories began to unfold, one after another. He probably doesn't value me anymore. Maybe he's upset with me. I started to pull away without saying a word. But a few days later, he called, his voice calm and tired. "Sorry, my mother has been in the hospital." I went silent. Every wall in my mind collapsed in a second. I realized that what hurts us is not other people's actions, but how we interpret those actions in our minds. The question, "What are you assuming?" is a potent medicine for the mind. It pulls you out of imagination and grounds you back in reality. Most of what we believe true is nothing more than painted assumptions. When someone says something harsh, we assume they mean to insult. When someone stays quiet, we think they are judging us. When someone leaves, we believe they no longer care. But most of the time, those assumptions are wrong. We don't see what is genuinely happening, we only see our fears reflected at us. Seneca once wrote that we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. The Stoics understood that the human mind always adds tragedy to every story. That is why they practiced seeing things as they are, not as they feel. They refused to let emotions serve as evidence. They knew that what we think is often what we fear, not what actually happens. In modern psychology, there is a concept called core beliefs, unconscious conclusions we carry from the past into the present. Those who were once abandoned tend to assume others will leave again. Those who were once belittled believe others are judging them. But when we ask, "What do you think?" we separate the present from the past and emotion from fact. This question acts like a small light shining into the dark corner where the mind retells its old stories. I started using this question not only with others but with myself. When I feel upset, instead of reacting, I ask, "What am I assuming right now?" And the answer is often painfully simple. They probably meant to hurt me. The moment I see that, I feel lighter. No one has to change. I need to see clearly. If you have ever misunderstood someone or hurt another person because of your own thoughts, write down one false assumption that once made you regret. No need to explain, name it. Because the moment you face what you are assuming, you are already halfway out of illusion. And once you see the walls you have built inside your mind, you learn the next lesson. Arguing is not as dangerous as defending a belief that can never change, because sometimes it is not others who are stubborn, but us who are too afraid to change our minds. Question 3. What evidence would make you change your mind? I once had a friend with whom every conversation turned into a debate. He was intelligent, sharp, and always had a counterpoint ready for everything. One day, when he firmly declared that people never change, I asked softly, "What evidence would make you think otherwise?" He looked at me and stayed silent for a long time. The conversation ended there. Not because I won, but because I realized he never spoke to understand, only to prove he was right. And no reasoning can convince someone who does not want to be confident. This question separates those who seek truth from those who protect their ego. When you ask what evidence would make you change your mind, you invite the other person to pause, to step out of emotional combat, and to face the truth. Are they truly willing to learn? In most cases, the answer is no. They are not seeking truth, they are seeking comfort within their beliefs. Epictetus once said, "No one can learn what they think they already know." And that is why most arguments end in exhaustion. People do not lose because they are wrong. They fail because they closed their minds before they understood. To the Stoics, this question is a test of humility. They knew that changing your mind is not failure, it is evolution. A mind willing to change when faced with new evidence is a free mind. But the ego, desperate to be right even when the truth is clear, is the most sophisticated prison. When you ask someone this question, they might grow defensive or angry. Yet, in that silence, you have done what Socrates once did and touched the point where their belief begins to tremble. I began using this question not to corner others, but to observe myself. When I feel anger rising, I ask, what evidence would make me think differently? I often find I have no evidence at all, only emotion. And in that moment, the anger fades. No one needs to apologize, no one needs to change their view. I only need the courage to doubt my own rage. If you ever find yourself trapped in an endless argument, try asking the other person or yourself, what evidence would make me change my mind? If the answer is nothing, then you have discovered the most essential truth. This is no longer a conversation, but an act of ego preservation. And you can choose to step away, not because you are weak, but because you know truth does not need to shout to exist. Write a small promise to yourself. I will not try to convince those who do not wish to understand, because when you stop, you do not lose your strength, you stop wasting it. And in that stillness, you open space for something more profound: understanding. Sometimes we do not need to win, but to see the world through another person's eyes. Question 4. If you were me, how would you see it? I remember an evening years ago when I argued with someone close to me over something small. We were both tired, both wanting to say the last word. I tried to explain, but the more I spoke, the thicker the wall between us became. At that moment I stopped and asked if you were me and how you would see it. The room went silent. He looked up, his eyes softened, and said quietly, "I would feel hurt too." And just like that, the anger disappeared. No one won, but both of us understood. This question is not meant to strike back. It is a bridge of empathy where reason and the heart meet. When you ask, "If you were me, how would you see it?" you invite the other person to step out of their defenses and into your world. It is rare in arguments when no one speaks to win but to understand. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that if you can understand why others act as they do, you will be less angry with them. And he was right. Every action hides a fear behind it. The one who attacks you may fear being forgotten. The one who stays silent may not know how to say the right thing. When you see that anger has nowhere left to go. The Stoics were not cold or detached as many imagine. They practiced calmness not to escape emotion, but to see it clearly in themselves and others. Understanding is not weakness, it is the art of the strong. Because only those who are steady enough can cross to the other side of a conversation and look through another person's eyes. When you can do that, you turn an argument into a moment of humanity. I began to apply this question in work, love, and conversations that once felt hopeless. Once, when a colleague rebuked me, I asked gently, "If you were in my position, what would you do differently?" He stopped, then smiled. "Maybe I'd do exactly what you did." That question did not make me more right, but it made us stop seeing each other as opponents. And that is what every argument needs most. Not victory, but the end of hostility. If you are angry at someone, pause and ask yourself, "If I were them, how would I see it?" Please write down your answer, not for them, but for yourself. Because sometimes what hurts us is not what others do, but forgetting that they are also hurting in their own way. When you learn to see through another person's eyes, you realize that not every disagreement needs to be resolved. Some arguments exist only because we are trying too hard to make others think like us. And when you understand that you are ready for the final question that ends all arguments, not through logic, but through inner freedom. Question 5. What if we don't agree? I once walked away from a conversation while the other person tried to prove me wrong, not because I had run out of words, but because I realized that nothing was worth losing my peace for just to be right. I stepped out of the cafe. The night was calm and quiet. I felt light for the first time in years, not because I had won, but because I no longer needed to. I learned freedom doesn't come from making others agree with you. It comes from not needing their agreement anymore. What if we disagree? It may sound weak, but truthfully, it's a mark of inner strength. It doesn't challenge others, it frees both sides from the need to control. When you ask it, you're quietly saying, "I respect your difference and choose to keep my peace." Marcus Aurelius once reminded us that you always have the power to have no opinion. That is a power the angry often lose, and the calm always protect. Most arguments exist because we believe there must be a shared conclusion, but in reality, most disagreements don't change much. Two people can disagree politically and still be friends. They can have different beliefs and still respect each other. They can see the world from opposite directions and still walk side by side. When you ask, "What if we disagree?" you bring the conversation back to reality. What would be lost if we let the other person keep their view? And most of the time, the answer is nothing. The Stoics never tried to win in words, they sought to keep stillness within. They knew that what you control is not someone else's opinion, but your response. When someone tries to persuade you, you can smile and say, Maybe we'll never see it the same way, and that's okay. In that moment, you are no longer part of the argument. You have left it without leaving the room. I once applied this during a meeting where two colleagues argued for an hour about a project's direction. I asked what would happen if we disagreed. Both went quiet. One sighed and said, "Honestly, nothing. We still have to work together." The meeting ended 5 minutes later. Sometimes, one question is enough to remind everyone that not every difference needs resolution, some only need respect. If you've been trying to make someone understand you, try pausing and asking, what if they never do? You may find that you don't need an answer, only peace. Keep a quiet reminder in your mind. I don't need everyone to agree with me to live true to myself. Ultimately, we must protect our opinions and the calm mind that remains steady in a noisy world. And once you've learned how to walk away from an argument without feeling lost, you will understand the greatest lesson of Socrates and the Stoics. A question is a tool to understand others, and a mirror through which you come to understand yourself. The ethics of intellectual power. I used to be proud of knowing how to ask questions. How can we make others fall silent and corner them with logic until they have nowhere left to go? But over time, I realized that when you use knowledge to confuse someone, you don't win. You only make them close their heart. Once after a conversation, the person across from me looked at me for a long moment and said, "You don't want to understand, you want to be right." That sentence cut straight through my pride, and he was right. I wasn't asking to understand. I was asking to win. I was asking with my head, but without a heart. A question is a form of power, and all power must be guided by ethics. Socrates was not executed for lying, but for asking too many right questions. Questions can open truth, but they can also become blades when used to expose others. The Stoics understood that wisdom was never meant to control, but to illuminate first within oneself. If you use your understanding to make others feel small, you have betrayed the knowledge you claim to honor. I began to ask differently. Instead of asking why I was wrong, I wondered what made me feel that way. Instead of using questions as traps, I used them as invitations. And something strange happened. When I stopped trying to prove, others began to open up. I realized people are not afraid of the truth, they fear being shamed for not knowing. If you can help someone understand while preserving their dignity, that is true wisdom. There are 4 principles I remind myself of every time I speak. First, humility, because I too can be wrong. Second, genuine curiosity asks to understand, not to prove. Third, empathy sees the fear behind the words. And finally, silence at the right moment is essential, because sometimes not asking is the deepest question. In that silence, many things reveal themselves. Think of a time you hurt someone with your words. Don't blame yourself, acknowledge it. Say quietly in your mind, I am learning to ask with compassion, not with ego, because wisdom without humanity is only another form of arrogance. The ethics of an intelligent mind lie not in knowing more than others, but in knowing when to stop. And when you learn to stop, you will see that the most significant questions in life are not for others, they are for yourself. Because the deepest dialogue we ever have is the one we hold with our own mind. Dialogue with yourself. There are quiet mornings when I walk down the empty street with no headphones, no phone, just the wind and the rhythm of my breath. In those slow steps, I often think back to old arguments. Times when I spoke too much, trying to be understood, or stayed silent, trying to look calm. And I realized that most of those confrontations were never worth losing peace over. No one truly won. Only one was left earlier, and the one who stayed longer was exhausted. The Socratic method, if understood deeply, is not just the art of questioning others, but of conversing with your mind. Every question is a mirror. When you dare to ask, you also dare to see. What we are really disagreeing about might reveal a need for validation. What might uncover the fear of being abandoned? What evidence would make me change might point to courage. If I were them, I might show that everyone is simply trying not to get hurt. And what if we disagree? It might remind you it's okay, because peace is not found in being understood, but in understanding yourself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the most significant victory is conquering yourself. And that is what every Stoic strives for, to win in silence amidst the storms of emotion and ego. When you learn to ask the right questions, you stop fearing the wrong answers. When you know when to stop, you no longer need to win. And when you understand, you no longer need to prove. If this journey has reached you, make a small promise to yourself. I choose calm over being right, not to avoid, but to master, not to lose, but to be free. Subscribe to Sovereign Stoic, where every video is not just a lesson, but a reminder that peace is not a reward for the lucky. It is your nature revealed when you stop reacting and start being true.